Welcome back to Dawn of Man HP. Strategic Sage here. Thanks for joining me. The city of Inception has jumped forward a full decade. It's the year 76. Took a while to gather the necessary knowledge. We'll get back to that, but we're ready to join the Bronze Age. Before we do that, let's take a look at how things have been going. You see the food is going steadily upward. Very nice trend there. Straw overall going upward more slowly. Domestic animals up and down. Donkeys have had a lot of disease issues, and they also seem to not be breeding as well as the other animals for whatever reason. So I've had to hunt some of them. That's part of the fluctuation. But our population is just about as steady as you can get. It's hanging generally in the 220s, slightly lower than normal right now. So we have built another stone circle over here, partly just because, and also partly to make this side of the river more complete. A few other things, our housing is up to the point where we shouldn't need to make any more. Maximum capacity of 250, and we have yet to break 230. I don't think we actually will, because population growth, the closer you get to 250, the lower it gets in terms of new births. So there's only so high that you can push it. And then we've got more dolmens over here, 4 of them and a 5th one on the way. You can see these are getting quite full, so we do need this one. Shouldn't be too long till it's completed. I have some more megaliths incoming. In general, just sort of the last few years have been very much on autopilot. I haven't really had to do much of anything. We did add more rye fields over here. That made sure we had enough straw, and then also was able to utilize our final grain crop. So moving forward, we are going to pop into the Bronze Age now. And if we take a look at what exactly that entails, over here, let's switch all of our production over to bronze for both metalsmiths. From a resource standpoint, you can see that we have a pretty good mix now. We've been buying some copper things from the trader as well. We still have some bone products out there, but not that many, mostly in the spears. And that's because I've actually, a few years ago, shut this off. Not even, it's just there, like the crafter is just there in case we need it. So let's eliminate all of these as well. We don't want to make any more copper. If we look at the bronze recipe, the white there is tin. That's a new metal. We need 2 copper ore, 1 tin ore, and 2 charcoal to make 2 bronze, whereas it's just a 1-to-1 thing here with the copper. So we'll need to import both copper ore and the tin ore. We can't actually use the finished copper bars to make bronze. We have to get it in the ore form in order to get the proper mix there. So if we go ahead and dive in here, I think I want to keep our same limits there, but I do want to switch this to not producing any more bars. And I don't think there's a limit on how much bronze I want to make. I just want to make as much as I can. So I will go ahead and set that to infinity. And we are ready to move forward now. A stormy early summer, and we get our first trader of the Bronze Era. And they don't have any copper for us, but they've got some tin. So we're going to buy up all of that. Generally, I've been using my spare wool and linen to do the trading. Got plenty of that. And so now we have a beginning. Now, they won't be able to build much with this. We need a lot more copper. Actually, I'm going to get 1 production cycle or 2 bronze bars out of this. But it's a starting point with our wonderful bronze adventure. Our next trader provides us with the opportunity to start acquiring advances by alternative means, and I want to take a look at why that's necessary. When it comes to acquiring knowledge, there are 3 things working against us. The first is sort of self-inflicted. In order to get the early game pacing how I wanted it, I increased the knowledge requirements. They have also added, though, more late game advances since launch. The Bronze Age used to be one of the weaker in terms of having a bunch of different things in it. Now it's second only to Neolithic in how many advances are there. So that's part of it. And then we've sort of maxed out some things. We're basically at late game stage with our population. If we take a look at our upgrade options, we're not going to go any higher here. We'll continue to kill raiders from time to time. Animals might go a bit higher, but not much. We don't need to do much hunting. A lot of our buildings are maxed out here. A lot of this is maxed out. And then we can't build any of the mining facilities for reasons of not having those resources on this map. That also limits the metal we can get. So the amount that we can improve our knowledge naturally is really quite low. So if we pop in here, they had horse domestication with the last trader. I didn't want that. Shield making is a nice one. Unfortunately, with a high commission trader, it's going to cost more than it could, but we'll suffer that. Obviously, this is very nice also in that they're giving us a bunch more copper ore along with a little bit of tin. We'll be able to add to our bronze stockpile now. And then if we look at what we want to get rid of, I have been trading off some of the grain just because we have so much extra. I don't want to let it go below 300. So if I take it down to there, these are only worth 1 each, but nice little supplement. Then I don't want to take these down below about 20. So if we take the wool down there, and then I can sell off my copper metal because we're not actually using that anymore. Whoops, let's do the fast way here. And we need 13 more. Okay, so I will sell a couple more of these, and maybe I'll throw a couple pulses into the mix. Okay, so this does create the situation, though, long term, what do we want to use as our trade options? We're going to need more things to sell if we're going to regularly buy advances. So the food stuff is all 1 each. Prefer not to go that route any more than selling the excess grain. And like stones, bones, stone tools, bone tools, all of these only worth 1. They're, ancient, outdated technology to us now. Straw, nope. Now we could sell the copper tools. We don't want to do that. We're using those. Same thing with the current clothes. And then we could consider the bows. We're going to need all the skins that we're going to get, though, for leather. For the shields here, for other things later, we're a little bit behind on building our carts. I don't want to go in that direction. Fishing rods, on the other hand, are a little bit different. The linen itself is only worth 5 each, but you add a stick to it, triple the value. So that's a very nice value thing. We should produce a bunch of fishing rods. The other aspect is the wool. We are going to have some extra wool. Is it better to just keep selling the wool? Well, we can turn it into wool cloth, rather, and upgrade the value from 5 to 7. Or if we do get extra clothes built up, only worth 5, but you get 2 of these out of a cloth, so it actually upgrades the value for each wool unit to 10. So that would be probably a pretty good idea. But the linen, just by planting more, we can scale that up to a certain amount at a relatively inexpensive cost. So I think turning the linen into fishing rods is really our best option at this point. So I need to do some reorganization here. Yes, we have acquired enough tin ore to get 1 more knowledge point. We want to expand what we're doing. I want to get a bunch of territory here. I want to use like the hilly parts on the outside for our smaller structures like the tanners, but I want to clear out a bunch of these trees that we've been using for tannin for like forever. Not up here where it's hilly, but down in here. And then build like more workshops in here, perhaps more outfitters or weavers. And we're definitely going to need room for our new structure, which is, let me pop it up here, the outfitter, or the armorer rather, where we're going to build our shields and then eventually later armor. So I need to place all of those down and clear this out as well. I'm not going to do it yet because it's harvest time, but we will do that later. And then based on that, we are going to push forward and try to have an economy more focused on items for trading so that we can do more of that. I also probably want to, I'm not sure exactly where I want to do it. Maybe I want to push even further out this way. Maybe I use this valley area and move tree harvesting somewhere else. That's probably a good idea. But I want to get a couple more linen fields up so that we're producing more of that and can really scale up those fishing rods to a significant degree. The harvest took most of everybody's time in the fall, but once they got going, this many people can really clear stuff out quickly. You can see this looks pretty bare, and it's getting a little bit bare as there's a couple more trees to go down. We have some things to do now. So I'm going to build to begin with. I want to get a couple more workshops going. So I'll throw one will fit there. And one, let's see, maybe about there. And then I want to throw up an armor as well. We'll put that over here. And that's just sort of a starting point. Then we'll see how the balance of everything goes out. Like with the leather, for example, we had to build up more in terms of our... because we knocked down a lot of the oak trees. So we've got, you know, another tannin place over here. And I've got one over in this area. And over here. Along these sides. And I'm grabbing this one over in here as well. So we'll just see like how much tannin do we have versus how many raw skins we have versus how much leather we need. We're going to have to rebalance all of those sort of equations. Now over here we've got a couple more fields of flax, and I'm going to stick with those for now. Just going to see how that goes. And yeah, I think I definitely want to bump you up to infinite as well. And then I want to change some more of my production numbers too. We definitely don't want to have a limit on our wool outfits. Build as many of them as you can do. And as many of these as well. I don't want to... oops, I don't want to bump the linen up. I want to bump the wool up. I don't want the linen to skyrocket there because I only want as much of that as we need. I think the 10 is a good amount to keep in reserve. And then the rest of it, of course, is going to go into the fishing rods, which we also want to bump up to... where are you at? Yeah, fishing tools. And you can be infinite as well. So we will sell all of the extras there. That's not good. We did bring in some more bronze, and we've started using it. You can see the sickles here. We're starting to build a few of those, and you can actually... we're still using bone ones. But the nice thing is this will gradually improve our farming efficiency and efficiency of other things, actually, because bronze tools are not just more durable than copper. They also are more effective. That includes the weapons. So upgrading quickly is more important than it was in the Copper Age. We definitely need to get that going as quickly as possible. So we'll see how this goes once we already got workshop up. Oh, there's armor. They just finished it already. Oh, busy little beavers. So we have, let's see, round shields, and then oval shields will come later. Leather armor will come later in the Bronze Age, and of course mail armor. That will wait till the Iron Age. But for this one, for half the adults, default, that seems to be pretty normal. Our melee troops. And then these require, you get 2 out of every log plus leather combination. So we're going to definitely need those. Let's go ahead and get that going and see how many of those actually get done. And whether or not we need to upgrade that or whether that will be enough over time to give us what we need. The early returns in the spring looking pretty positive. It still feels bare over here after having trees there for so many years, decades. But we have begun building shields now in the armory. We're starting to stockpile our fishing tools. See, plenty of tannin. They gathered a whole bunch of it, much faster than I expected. The leather, you know what? I need to upgrade the leather. Where is my tannery at? There it is. Yeah, I need to boost that to 15 at least. So they can have a little bit more of a stockpile there. So I need to see how that balance works out, but we're definitely good on the tannin. And then we actually we're able to buy some bronze directly, which is nice. Waiting for people to now get back over here and start working on all these bronze tools that we need at the moment. But they have knocked a few things out. We have gotten, you know, like a couple spears out of here. We've gotten some more sickles. So that work has begun. And now we're just sort of waiting to see... whoops, we've got a donkey there that needs attention. Our animal population overall, very healthy. Welfare went down a bit here, but we just need to wait and see how this all balances out. Early returns are good on the transition, though. just over a year into the Bronze Age, we get our first raid, and there's like 14 or 15 of them here. This is a much larger force than we've seen before, and that's the first time we've lost a gate. Now, we have massed troops here. We could just flat out number them. We have plenty of weapons for everybody. But you can see we lost 3 people there. Now, still, I mean, we still knocked out like 5 of them for every one of ours. That's not horrifying. But it does point up the fact that we could stand to upgrade our fortifications. And of course, the only way we're going to be able to do that is by being able to improve our technology related to them, which we're sort of waiting on now. So the more of those shields we get, though, and the more advances we can make in that general direction, whether it's building stronger structures or whether it is arming ourselves better and defending ourselves better with armor, the better off we're going to be. Now, a couple things I forgot to mention earlier. I did add some stick locations, one here and one here. That's helping us bring in more of those for the various items that we need. We are getting a regular supply of milk now from the cows, as we've had enough of those for a while. That's really aiding our food supply. So as we move forward, all of that is beneficial. And we did recently finish the dolmen up here as well. That one's empty. These, as you can see, are not. We'll be burying some more people, but that should give us enough, I think. If not, we can always go get more. But that should handle that scenario. By the time the next harvest came in, it was clear that our building up of trade goods is going to be a rousing success. Linen's going up, wool's holding strong while we have more wool outfits here. We've got fishing tools coming in. We're going to be able to regularly invest plenty to get going, and probably just leave the infrastructure as it is. Now, I have moved some of the stockpiles outside the walls. We've got rock ones here. They're near the gates pretty much. There's a wood one over there, a couple here, more along the edge here. They've dumped a bunch of rocks on this one. So that's holding anything that we have in reserve as it comes in and keeping the regular storage area free. We still have more room to expand. All of that is looking very good at the moment. It's worth noting that we did get some advanced weapons that we captured from the raiders, and meeting that technological advance as quickly as possible is going to be important. They got a bronze sword, which swords are higher damaging melee combat weapons than anything else in the game, which is a very dubious distinction, I might add. But that's the way the game presents it. And then the composite bows, naturally stronger than the regular bows. And so, obviously, capturing them will help, but also advancing to the point where we can produce those. It's going to be quite important. Shields going well. In terms of the other items, like, for example, spears, a bronze spear is no more effective in combat than a copper spear, but the knives or the axes or whatever you get for a bronze item is 175% efficiency and only 150% for copper, in addition to being more durable. So the advantage here, practically speaking in game terms, is not so much in combat for bronze versus copper, but it is in the efficiency of the internal economic life of the city. So what is bronze anyway? Simply put, it's an alloy that consists of mostly copper with small amounts of something else. The something else varies. Early bronze typically contained either arsenic, which is an inferior alloy, or tin, which was more common and superior. Rather than the 2-to-1 ratio seen in the game, bronze generally consisted of between 7 and 9 parts copper to 1 part of tin. Most likely this was simply discovered by accident. Tin at least can occur as an impurity in copper ore. And at some point, people realized that bronze would be much harder and easier to cast and began mixing them intentionally. And when we say casting, we're simply referring to the process of pouring the liquid or molten metal into a mold, waiting for it to cool, at which point you've got a solid object in the shape of whatever it is you're trying to make. Casting was used before metalworking to form clay objects of a desired shape, for example. But with the temperatures involved in melting metal, it became much more essential. We have reached a point here where the historical accuracy of Dawn of Man sort of goes off the rails to an extent. For example, bronze being much harder than copper means it would have been a much more effective weapon. That was one of its primary uses. Here's an elderly gentleman wandering about down by the river. He's got one of our shields, one of our bronze axes, feeling pretty good about himself. But going forward now, I'm not going to be spending as much time on the historical elements simply because a lot of them require the broader picture to discuss. In other words, they're not appropriate to as much the everyday life of the city of Inception as they are to the grander picture, larger political structures, we would term empires in the modern parlance. And can't really demonstrate those with this game, so I'll be holding off on that until we jump into the next game in the Historic Perspective series. But we are looking pretty good at the moment, ready to move forward with whatever may happen next, so I will be eyeing aggressively purchasing new advances when we return. Till then, thanks for watching. Story of Inception will continue.